Most folks believe that if you want furniture built of real solid wood, the kind that outlasts the man who made it, the kind that gets handed down instead of hauled out, you have to spend a small fortune to get it. Walk into any furniture store today and they'll tell you that's just the price of quality. But that's backwards, and it's been backwards for a long time. The finest solid wood furniture ever made in this country is sitting right now at estate sales, in thrift stores, out on curbs on trash day, going for pennies on the dollar, while folks walk past it and pay $600 for a box of glued sawdust down the road. I grew up doing it the plain way, by hand, and my grandfather before me and neither one of us ever paid store price for a piece of solid wood furniture in our lives. Here are 7 ways to save yourself hundreds of dollars on furniture, one at a time. Grab a pencil. Number 1, and this is the one that saves you the most money the fastest. Learn to spot real solid wood in 30 seconds before you ever hand over a dollar. Because here is the trouble. A cheap piece and a good piece can look near identical from across the room, both dressed up to look like oak or walnut, both wearing a coat of stain and varnish that makes them shine just alike. The difference is what's underneath, and there are 4 places it simply cannot hide from you. First, find a raw edge. Look at the back of the piece, look underneath, pull a drawer all the way out, and look at the cut edge of it. Solid wood shows you continuous grain running straight through, often with a small, honest color change from one board to the next. Particle board shows you a speckled, sandy, tan core like packed oatmeal, not like wood at all. And veneer over a cheap core will show you a paper-thin skin of real wood laid over that same speckled center, right at any chipped corner where the skin has given way. Second, look at the grain on the face. Real grain wanders and never quite repeats itself the way the same tree grew it. A printed wood grain, the kind they photograph onto a plastic skin and press flat, will actually repeat if you follow it carefully down the surface, and it runs right off the edge like a picture instead of wrapping the way a real board does around itself. Third, open the drawers. Dovetail joints at the corners, those interlocking fingers of cut wood, that is the mark of a piece built to last. And the drawer bottom ought to be a separate panel sitting loose in a shallow groove, free to move a little with the seasons, not a thin sheet stapled up from underneath. Fourth, look at the back panel and between the drawers. A well-built old piece has a solid wood back and thin dividers, what old-timers call dust panels, between the drawers to keep things clean and square. A cheap one has a sheet of cardboard or thin hardboard stapled on. Now, one honest word about advice you will hear everywhere else. People will tell you to judge a piece by its weight, that heavy means solid wood. That is simply not true, and I will not tell you it is. Particle board and the dense fiber board they call MDF are often heavier than solid pine, sometimes considerably heavier. Weight will fool you every single time. Judge by the raw edge and the joints, never by the heft. Learn those 4 checks and you will walk into any estate sale, any auction, any church rummage, and know in under a minute whether you are looking at a $40 oak dresser worth keeping for 50 years, or a piece that will be back at the curb inside 5. That knowledge alone is worth hundreds of dollars a year to you, year after year, without ever picking up a tool. That brings me to number 2, and it is the one that turns an ugly find into a beautiful piece. Revive the old, finish, don't strip it, and for heaven's sake, don't throw the piece out over it. Here is what most folks get wrong. They see an old dresser gone cloudy and dull, hazy, maybe sticky to the touch, and they figure the finish is ruined and the piece is done for. 9 times out of 10, it is not ruined at all. It is just dirty and dried out and starving. Wood is a living thing, even long after it has been cut from the tree. An old finish is a skin over that living wood that has simply gone thirsty. And before you ever reach for a can of chemical stripper, which is a miserable, messy, half-a-weekend job with fumes you do not want to breathe, you try the gentle thing first. You clean it. Warm water with a drop of mild dish soap on a barely damp rag handles the everyday dust and grime. For the greasy, waxy, sticky buildup you find on an old kitchen piece or a dresser that spent decades in someone's back room, a rag dampened with mineral spirits cuts right through it without harming the finish underneath. Now, a real word of care, and I mean it. Mineral spirits and old oily rags want ventilation and respect. Work with a window open, and when you are done, that rag does not go balled up in the trash can. An oily rag left wadded in a heap can heat up on its own and catch fire without any flame or spark at all, just chemistry doing what chemistry does. Lay it out flat to dry outside or drown it in a bucket of water. That is not me being fussy. That is a fire I watched a man nearly lose his whole shop to, and I never forgot it. Once the piece is clean and dry, you feed it. A thin wipe of boiled linseed oil, or a firm rub of plain paste wax buffed out with a soft cloth, and that tired gray finish drinks it in, and the color and the depth come right back up out of the wood, the way a photograph develops in the tray. Test a hidden corner first, the back edge or the underside of a shelf, to see how the wood takes it before you do the whole face. Most old furniture carries one of three finishes: shellac, varnish, or an oil finish. Every one of them will revive with a cleaning and a feeding far more often than they need stripping. Stripping is the last resort, not the first move, and folks reach for it years too early. And while we are here, let me say a word about the white ring, that cloudy bloom left by a wet glass or a warm dish. People toss whole tables over that mark, and they should not. A white ring is trapped moisture sitting inside the finish, not damage to the wood itself, and gentle warmth will usually chase it right out. Lay a clean cotton cloth over the ring and pass a warm iron, no steam. Set low over it a few seconds at a time, checking between passes, or work a little oil into the spot and buff it. I will be straight with you. It does not lift every single one, and a dark or black ring means the water worked its way down into the wood fibers themselves, which is a harder fight. But the common white one on a piece with a clear lacquer or varnish finish, that comes out more often than not, and there is $100 table saved for a quarter hour of your time. Number 3, penny for penny. This one buys you the biggest visible change for the least money. Swap the hardware. Here is what nobody tells you. Nothing dates a piece and makes it look tired and cheap faster than worn-out, ugly, mismatched knobs and pulls and hinges. And nothing lifts a piece faster than fresh ones. A set of solid new pulls, or better yet, a set of good old salvage hardware matched up from a salvage bin or a second-hand shop, runs you $10 or $15 and makes a $40 dresser look like it came out of a $600 catalog. The screw holes on older furniture are almost always a standard center-to-center spacing, so new hardware drops right in without drilling a thing. And if a new pull's holes do not quite line up, or an old screw hole has gone loose and will not bite anymore, you do not need a new drawer. You tap a wooden matchstick or a sliver of hardwood with a little wood glue dabbed on it into the tired hole, snap it off flush with the surface, let it set up and drive your screw into fresh solid wood. Holds tighter than the day the piece was made for the price of a matchstick. Same trick on tired hinges on a cupboard door that sags and will not shut square. A few dollars of new hinges or that matchstick fix in the old holes in the door hangs true again like it was new. While your hands are already on those drawers, here is a companion fix that costs you nothing at all. The drawer that sticks, that screeches when you pull it, that you have to wrestle and lift to close. The one that makes an otherwise fine piece feel broken and makes buyers at a sale walk right past it. It is almost never broken. It is just dry wood dragging on dry wood. Pull the drawer out, find the shiny worn tracks where it rides against the frame, and rub a plain candle or a bit of paste wax right along those wooden runners, both the runner on the frame and the bottom edge of the drawer itself. Slide it back in and it glides like something new. A screeching, sticking drawer turns smooth running in under a minute for the price of a candle stub that was already in the drawer. People pass up good solid pieces every day of the week because a drawer sticks, never knowing the whole repair is a rub of wax. Now let me stop here for a second, because the next one scares people off, and it should not scare anyone. Number 4, reupholster your own seats. I am not talking about a big rolled arm sofa with springs and webbing and a week of work. I am talking about the seat you sit on at the supper table, the chair at the vanity, the little bench at the foot of a bed. Most dining chairs, most benches, most vanity stools have what is called a drop-in seat or a slip seat. And here is the whole secret of it. That padded seat is not built into the chair at all. Turn the chair upside down and you will find 3 or 4 screws holding a separate padded board up from underneath. Or sometimes the seat board just pushes up from below and lifts right out without a tool. That board is nothing more than a piece of plywood with a bit of foam padding and some fabric stapled around the back of it, folded at the corners the way you would wrap a parcel for mailing. That is the whole thing. Before you strip the old cover off, take a careful look at how those corners were folded, because that is your pattern, and copying a good fold is easier than puzzling out a new one from scratch. Pick a sturdy, tight-woven upholstery weight fabric, not a thin dress cotton, that will wear through in a year and put you right back where you started. Lay your new fabric face down on a clean floor, a fresh scrap of foam on top if the old is flat and tired. The seat board centered on top of that. Pull the fabric up snug on one side. Staple it to the back of the board starting from the middle and working outward. Then pull the opposite side snug and do the same, keeping the pull even so the pattern sits straight on the face. Fold the corners neat, the way the original was folded. 20 to 30 minutes a chair and a staple gun. Keep your fingers clear of where that staple drives and press the gun flat against the board. A staple gun will bite you quick if you get careless, and I say that from experience. Here is the number that ought to get your attention. An upholsterer will often charge you $80 to $150 a chair to do exactly this work. A yard or two of good fabric and a bag of foam will do a set of 6 chairs for less than the price of a single professionally redone one. A whole tired, stained dining set made to look completely new for a fraction of what one chair would cost you to send out. That is real money back in your pocket and skills that carry over to every upholstered piece you will ever own. Which leads right into number 5, and this one hardly anybody knows they can fix themselves. Lifting veneer. Now, do not confuse what I am about to say with what I told you in number 1. I told you to be wary of cheap veneer over particle board, and I stand by that. But a great many good solid older pieces have a fine wood veneer laid over a solid wood or quality plywood core, and that is honest, quality furniture built the way fine cabinetry has been made for centuries. The trouble is, after 50 or 80 years, sometimes a corner or an edge of that veneer lifts up, or a bubble appears in the middle of a flat surface, and folks see it and think the piece is finished and unsalvageable. It is not. If it is a loose edge or corner, you gently work a small amount of wood glue underneath it, using a thin blade or an old playing card slid carefully into the gap. Warm the veneer slightly with a heat gun or even a warm iron held close, not touching, just enough to make the wood relax and want to lie flat. Wipe away whatever glue squeezes out. Lay a piece of wax paper over the repair so nothing sticks where you do not want it to. Set a flat scrap of wood on top as a caul, and weight it down with a stack of heavy books overnight. Come morning it is down tight. If it is a bubble in the center of a flat surface, you slit it once along the grain with a sharp craft knife. Work a little glue in through the slit with a thin blade, and press it flat the same way paper. Call, wait, overnight. You would never find the repair afterward if you did not already know where to look. One honest note worth knowing. On the real old pieces, that veneer was often laid down with hide glue, which is the old animal-based glue that was used in furniture shops for generations before modern adhesives came along. Here is the good part about that. Hide glue reactivates with gentle warmth and a little moisture. So on those old pieces, sometimes you barely need fresh glue at all, just careful heat to melt the original back to life and firm pressure to set it flat. A piece worth $400 that everyone else walked past at the sale because of a lifting corner, yours for next to nothing, saved with a dab of glue and a night under a stack of books. That is the kind of trade I will take every day of the week. Take a breath, because number 6 is less a trick and more a piece of hard-won knowing about where the money actually is. Buy at the right place at the right time and learn where the solid wood hides. The furniture store is the most expensive place on earth to buy furniture, and you already knew that. So where do all the good solid pieces go when a household clears out? Estate sales, farm sales, church rummage sales, auctions, especially the last hour, when the crowd has gone home and there is nobody left to bid against you. That is where a whole house full of hardwood furniture, built back in a time when everything was built to last, gets sold off for nearly nothing because the family cannot haul it, and the auctioneer wants the barn empty by dark. Here is the part that pays, and this is something you only learn by showing up. The dirtiest, ugliest, most beat-up looking piece in the room, the one everybody is wrinkling their nose at and stepping around, is very often the solid oak or solid walnut one. The clean, shiny, pretty piece that photographs well is often the newer particle board. Learn to see past a plain coat of grime to the bones underneath, using those 4 checks from number 1 because you already know how. Solid old wood tends to hide in the bedroom sets, the big dressers, the harvest tables and library tables, the church pews and deacons' benches, the wide chests of drawers nobody wants to wrestle into a truck. I think about a fellow over near Kelowna, Iowa. I will call him Perry Gingerich, who furnished his entire home, every room of it, with cast-off solid wood pieces that other people had written off entirely. A corner hutch he brought back from gray and wobbly to something his family eats Sunday dinner in front of to this day. A harvest table that looked like firewood in the auction barn and came out looking like it belonged in a fine home. He never paid more than a few dollars for any of it, and his home is finer than most you will find in a furniture store. So bring an old blanket and a couple of straps to tie things into your truck. Go early for the best selection or late for the best prices, and do not be shy about offering a little less than they are asking kindly. At the end of the day, when they would genuinely rather see it go than load it back up. That is not being cheap, that is knowing what a thing is worth and being honest about it. And if you find something you are not sure about, your local extension office often knows of old house and farm estate networks in your county, and they can point you toward the sales before they are widely advertised. Worth a phone call. Now here's number 7, and this is the one that changes how you look at every single piece of furniture for the rest of your life. It is really a way of thinking more than a technique, but the math behind it is plain once you set it down on paper. Repair beats replace nearly every time. Pencil it out sometime because the numbers do not lie. Say you find a solid hardwood table at a sale, real oak, honest bones, but it is wobbly, and the finish has gone dull and lifeless, $30. You spend an afternoon tightening the joints, gluing up any loose tenons, an evening reviving the finish with a few dollars of oil and wax, and that table serves your family for 30 years and gets handed down after that. Run the math, and that comes out to roughly $1 a year, and a piece your grandchildren will actually want when you are gone. Now the other road, $180 for a new particle board table that looks fine in the box, wobbles inside a year because particle board screws will not hold under real use, and lands at the curb inside 5 years, because once that material lets go, there is no bringing it back. So you buy another one, and another one after that. That is not a table. That is a subscription. You keep paying for furniture you never truly own. Solid wood is alive, and that is the whole secret of it. It can be tightened, cleaned, fed, repaired, refinished, and brought back from states you would not believe for as long as anyone cares to do the work. It is exactly why a 100-year-old piece of American furniture is worth more than a brand new one. When you buy solid wood, you are not buying a table. You are buying all the life that is still left in the wood, and there is always more left than you would think. Here is a small habit that makes the whole approach cost even less over time. Keep a salvage box in the corner of your shop or your garage, and every time a piece is truly beyond saving, the one rare case where it is, do not just drag it to the curb whole. Pull the good hardware off it. Pull the solid drawer runners, the soundboards, the brass hinges that still move freely, the wooden knobs, the solid wood back panels. Set them in that box. The next time you need one knob, one runner, one matching strip of hardwood to repair a good piece, it is already sitting there, free. Fix furniture with furniture. Most repairs will not cost you a single dollar if you have been saving the good parts from the ones that could not be saved. I should say, while we are talking about repairs and what is practical, some fixes are genuinely beyond a beginner, and there is no shame in that. Structural repairs to a chair that has lost its mortise and tenon joints, or a piece with veneer damage covering a large surface, those can get complicated quickly, and it is always fair to take a piece to a skilled woodworker and ask what a repair would run before you decide. Sometimes the cost of professional work is still a fraction of buying new, and sometimes the piece tells you honestly that it is time to let it go. The point is not to save every stick of wood ever made. The point is to know the difference before you spend money you did not need to spend. So let me bring all 7 back together, because taken as a whole, this is a way of living with furniture rather than just consuming it. Learn the 30-second test so you never again pay good money for a box of glued sawdust dressed up to look like a dresser. Revive a tired finish with cleaning and feeding before you reach for the stripper 9 times out of 10. That is all it needs. Swap the hardware and wax the sticky drawers for pocket change, and watch a tired piece transform in an afternoon. Reupholster your own drop-in seats for a fraction of what a single chair costs to send out. Glue down lifting veneer that scared everyone else off, because it is a $1 fix on a piece worth keeping. Shop the estate sales and farm auctions where the real old wood hides under a coat of grime and a reputation for being too heavy to move. And let repair beat replace every time the math supports it, because solid wood is a living material, and it will come back if you give it half a chance. Not one of those 7 steps costs you more than a few dollars, and every last one of them can save you hundreds, some of them far more than that. Over the years, a good solid piece will serve you. That is not luck. That is knowing what you are looking at and being willing to do the honest work. If this is the kind of plain, practical talk you came looking for, do me a small favor and like this so it reaches the next person about to spend $600 they did not have to spend. And tell me in the comments what piece you are trying to save: a dresser, a dining chair, your grandmother's old table, whatever it is, and what is wrong with it. I read every comment that comes in, and I will steer you straight if you get stuck. The way I was raised, you did not throw a thing away while there was still good wood and good years left in it. You cleaned it up, you fixed what was broken, and you passed it on better than you found it. That is not being poor. That is being wise with what you have got. Keep it simple, keep it honest, and let the wood teach you what it is still worth. I will see you back at the bench.